Hello gang, it's Ewan here, back for another go around here at Side Missions. Thanks for bearing with me. I know it's been a minute since the last episode. I think it's fair to say that I might still be working out how to make this thing sustainable as a solo, unpaid, after hours endeavour, but I'm gonna get there, bear with me. For this one, I'm getting into what is probably the most eye-roll inducing subject at the moment: artificial intelligence, or AI for short. I've basically been reading a book over the last month, a collection of short stories called Terminal Boredom by Izumi Suzuki, and this book kind of unlocked something for me, particularly a short story called Night Picnic. Anyway, since reading that book, I wanted to just get down a stream of consciousness about how AI is seemingly being strong-armed into art and how I feel about it. I'll let you kind of see for yourself, but I think I came out with maybe a sunnier disposition than I thought I would have. I think that's what I'm realising I'm kind of enjoying about doing this actually, is that through engaging with a subject and kind of thinking about it, I get to a place that's usually tinged with optimism, at least. Once again, this is Side Missions, coming to you from a perennially offline guy. So the best way to keep up to date is to subscribe to the Substack. That's sidemissions.substack.com. You can also email me at sidemissions@proton.me if you want to go off on me about some foolishness I've chatted on mic, or you can send me some love as well. Highly appreciated, goes a long way. Thank you to everyone that reached out and said nice words about the first episode, 8-bit 8-bar. If you haven't listened to that one, make sure to run it back. Yeah, other than that, I guess I'll hand it over to myself to take you through this next episode. Take it easy, gang. In 1981, Japanese proto-cyberpunk author and certified real one Izumi Suzuki penned the short story Night Picnic. She tells us of 4 alien lifeforms attempting to reconstruct a nuclear family from the remnants of books and TV that the human race left behind. The daughter tries desperately to simulate teenage angst correctly, but does it at the wrong time. The dad insists that the man of the house reads the morning paper, so he cobbles together a makeshift gazette from scraps of old newspapers that he fetches from the mailbox at 5 in the morning. These rituals and rites of passage are jarringly performed rather than felt, as the charade slowly unravels. Culture itself is reduced to a pose that can be embodied by not just anyone, but anything. Not long ago, I passed through The Call at London's Serpentine Gallery, an exhibition put together by Holly Herndon and Matt Dryhurst featuring 15 community choirs from all over the UK, down to the Spectrum Singers of Penarth, South Wales, over to Belfast's HIVE choir, and up to the Carnoustie choir on Scotland's east coast. Each of these choirs were put through a series of singing exercises and given a songbook of hymns to perform, with the recordings consensually fed into choral AI models as training data that exhibition visitors could interact with. Angelically enveloped in a pure white curtain, the call of my voice carried into a microphone plated with gold and self-importance. The response of the choir's collective, generative pipes were echoed back to me. As audio played back, on a purely sonic level, the results are close to well-trodden effects like the talkbox or auto-tune. As the one doing the calling, the experience I felt was closer to a seance. In a pristine press release, the pair posit the work as a proposal for new cultural, legal and technical rituals for art in the age of AI. What does that even mean though? Breaking through the PR polish, I think what they want you to imagine is what an AI artistic practice with soul might manifest as. Rituals are community traditions that form the backbones of human societies, often sacred and not committal to logic. Choirs have quietly gone about preserving musical traditions from aeons past, so can AI models commune with them into the distant future? Can it be done with charm and with dignity for the humans involved? Wading into the AI art debate isn't the one if you want to look after your piece, but there's a thread that I want to pull on today and see where it goes. There aren't many phrases I find more squeamish than multidisciplinary artist, but Goldie is one of the few contemporary figures that might be able to claim it cringe-free. I first came across him in Guy Ritchie's Y2K crime caper classic, at least in this house, Snatch. Here he is playing Bad Boy Lincoln alongside Robbie G.
Bad boy? So?
Easy.
Nah, it's a moissanite.
A what a night?
A moissanite is an artificial diamond, Lincoln. It's Mickey Mouse, mate. Spurious. Not genuine. And it's worth fuck all.
He briefly starred in EastEnders too. Wouldn't you know it? Here he is performing with Robbie again.
I'll see you then. Alright, bye.
Who's been a naughty boy then?
Much later on, I discovered that Goldie was a notable b-boy in the 80s on both sides of the Atlantic, from Brum to the Bronx. Here's a clip from a BBC TV debate, originally aired October 1987, which pitted him opposite Superintendent Fowler of the West Midlands Police to debate whether graffiti is art, crime, or both.
You know, 3 times what you're spending now.
But wait a minute, what about the example that you're setting? Because you're still going out painting on walls. So that's not a very good example to the youngsters coming up, because they see what you're doing and then they want to copy you.
Well, you know, people...
You're not part of the alternative, are you?
People copied Picasso, people copied, you know, Rembrandt.
But not on walls, Goldie.
Not on walls, but, you know, walls is my medium and that's got to be accepted. This is my medium. Now, you know, for me to just go into a gallery...
Why should I accept it if I'm walking down the street and I don't want to look at this kind of design and I just want to look at what the architect put there? Why should I look at your art?
Do you like it?
Well, actually, as it happens, I do.
Exactly.
But that's
well,
not the point.
I like Goldie's art,
That's
but I
not
don't
the
like
point.
what I see on the...
In my late teens, I learned that the same guy was also, incredibly, a jungle D&B pioneer in his own right. This was a headfuck of dizzy proportions, even beyond the realisation that Martin Kemp, aka EastEnders Steve Owen, was in Spandau Ballet. 90s, 2000s EastEnders casting was the true avant-garde. Goldie's debut album, Timeless, is critically acclaimed and marvelled as a pioneering piece of music so unanimously that offering up my silly little words about it now feels almost distasteful. The record was released in 1995, at a time when jungle had experienced a taste of mainstream crossover success, but hadn't yet reached coffee table book, Mercury Prize consideration territory, if you get my drift. Timeless got everyone noticing this sound of the future, and leading the charge was a lead single taken from the gargantuan 21-minute album opener, Inner City Life, featuring the late, great Diane Charlemagne. 30 years later, Goldie is still being pestered for the story behind Inner City Life. Here he is talking to DJ Mag about the glamorous, romantic shuttle runs he braved to and from Rob Playford's mum's house in Stevenage.
We needed to find an engineer. I knew that Playford was the only guy out here that could do what my mind was thinking. You know, we went up to Stevenage, semi-detached house, his mum's house, and we decided to make Timeless.
For someone intertwined with the development of a new musical genre, the man is a self-avowed technophobe and open about his lack of technical abilities in the studio. To quote, "Technology is a velvet claw. I hate it, but I have to use it. Technology is not my master. When I use technology, I take it for a joyride. I fuck it up and make it do things it was never designed to do." In the Timeless days, he worked with engineer and moving shadow label head Rob Playford to translate the unorthodox ideas rattling around his head into something material. In his own words, Rob describes their working relationship like so. Goldie has a very vivid imagination and knows nothing about the technical side of the process. Meanwhile, my imagination has been stunted by the familiarity I have with the electronics. The kind of music that I've been involved with didn't need a music producer in the classic mold. It needed a technical producer. To put it another way, Playford was holding the paintbrush and Goldie was dictating who, what, when, where and why to paint. Chatting to The Guardian, he was even more ruthless in his own assessment, saying of Playford, "He's a phenomenal engineer, but he doesn't have his own ideas. He doesn't make his own music. But what he does have is a fantastic width and birth to throw loads of creative ideas at him." Dillinger, Danny J, Tech Itch, Mark Rutherford and others would all take turns sitting in the engineering hot seat for Goldie. He went on to develop an unmistakable signature sound and never before seen production techniques. B-boy breaks like James Brown's Funky Drummer, and Dyke and the Blazers' Let a Woman Be a Woman, Let a Man Be a Man made it into early records, likely a hangover from his stateside gallivanting. He's credited with the invention, or popularisation at least, of time stretching, broken down for the masses in Channel 4's How Clubbing Changed the World documentary by Fabio.
His pivotal moment came with Terminator. What was different about it was Goldie used time stretching for the first time ever.
You're talking about things I haven't done yet.
There was a lot of equipment in the studio and I'd seen a HF harmonizer. The Daddy.
Terminator is out there.
By misusing an old piece of guitar kit, Goldie invented a revolutionary technique called time stretching.
If you want to play a guitar at one pitch, you can play it, but then if you want to sound like it's 10 guitars, you can have guitars playing pitch down and guitars playing up. But they're playing at the same time. So, if I put breakbeat through that, digital breakbeat, I don't know, no one's ever done it. I'm like, let's wire it up.
You're talking about things I haven't done yet.
Goldie was able to express himself using the cutting edge of digital music production technology, despite being one step removed from the act of pressing buttons. When I think about how to approach new technology in an artistic practice without sacrificing one's soul, there's something of a parable to learn here. Admittedly, these creative swings didn't always connect. See Noel Gallagher's cynical cameo in 1997's Temper Temper, for example. But a mercurial spirit trying for masterpieces would rather shoot for the stars and miss than not take a shot. As an aside, Goldie has to receive partial blame for the nauseating trend of cutting-edge electronic music getting the full orchestra treatment to elevate it. Pete Tong, another serial offender here, happened to sign Timeless while an A&R at Polydor-owned London Records. What was in the water these times? If Goldie is the prototype for AIR optimism, the resilience of ghostwriting might be the best case for declaring a Butlerian jihad, aka blowing up a few data centers. In all seriousness, hacks have been harvesting the creative juices of others since Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was out here. The Requiem was a composition that was left unfinished on his death in 1791. Finished off by his Austrian pupil Franz Xaver Süssmayr in 1792, before being delivered to German aristocrat Count Franz von Walsegg. The Count, who had a grubby reputation for passing off commissions as his own work, had requested Mozart make the piece for a service to commemorate his late wife Anna. Legend has it that before he could claim this one for his own, a public benefit concert for Mozart's widow Constanze scuppered the plans. Far from an isolated vanity project, wealthy aristocrats regularly tapped up gifted composers of the day to make something beautiful they could tell their mates and themselves that they had gifted the world. That's right, cultural capital, or clout, has been an obsession since at least the 18th century, bravely preserved until today by the vampiric elites of a decidedly creaking pop star industrial complex. There are obvious ghostwriting reference points amongst these circles, but more nuanced and relevant here is a case like Lupe Fiasco. Fresh off the first iteration of his Rap Theory and Practice MIT course, he hooks up with Google for a lab session to see how AI might expand the rapper's lyric writing process. Here, Lupe contextualizes the writing session with a potted history of hip-hop innovation.
Is born out of technology. Rap wouldn't exist if it wasn't for these technological advancements. DJing, for example, and the direct drive, turntables, so you're able to be very accurate with break beats and stuff like that. Microphones, recording studios, now you're able to lay more ideas. You only had one track at one point, now you got 4, or now you got 8, now you got 16, now it's endless. On top of here's all these special effects that you can do now. Here's all these different sounds that are generated through technology, like the 808. 808 is a lot of science and a lot of math and a lot of physics to create that sound that rap takes as its own and like 808, that's rap.
The creative friction between the technologists and artists are telling. One mentions thinking that Lupe would be interested in exploring how an AI assistant could write raps for him, and gets coldly shot down. Instead, Lupe was interested in recruiting the tech to identify the universe of possibilities branching from a word or concept he might be meditating on. The geeks worked with him to build TextFX, a collection of tools built on fine-tuned large language models, or LLMs, that provide a web of lexical possibilities from a provided prompt. For example, the Fuse tool finds intersections between two things. Given the words Spain and troll, I was told, Spain and trolls both have a reputation for being mischievous. Spain for its history of pirates and explorers, and trolls for their penchant for playing pranks and causing trouble. In the session, Lupe plays with these tools to lay down a rough track called Glass of Water. Here's a snippet.
Surely. All right, cool.
Yeah. A glass of water held up to the lips of the marauder, dry and flaky, looking like they haven't had a sip in days. The glass kisses the lips, drawn from them instant praise. They also says I was more rudderless than a ship without a captain adrift on the ocean of life, no destination in sight. But now I see what it means to be in need of the preservation of life.
Now, imagine a continuum of creative oversight that extends from a serene, solo writer's retreat to heavy-handed robot overlords in the vibe of Microsoft Office's Clippy. To me, Lupe's experiment sits closer to the latter, with Goldie's process in the former camp. A cynical read here is that Goldie uses a studio engineer as a glorified translator, while Lupe is using AI as a creative crutch under Google's careful watch. However, consider the relative experience and technical fluency of both artists. While Goldie was raw and learning the trade during these early sessions with Playford, Lupe is dabbling with a more invasive approach after putting in the proverbial 10,000 hours. Does this mean that he is better able to notice, and therefore consciously accept or reject, the invisible pen of the machine short-circuiting the right side of his brain? Or is this a potential slippery slope into late career laziness and derivative art?
Your smile is like a breath of spring. Your skin is soft.
The digital tea leaves are saying that all roads are leading us towards a not so distant future in which AI will be creating art that most people won't be able to tell apart from the man-made equivalent. In a recent study published in Nature, most people couldn't spot AI-generated poetry and actually rated those poems higher than human-authored ones. Scott Alexander ran an AI art Turing test that demonstrated widespread inability to identify AI paintings from JPEG approximations of famous artwork. One critique to square here would be that poetry and paintings are arguably heritage art forms without mainstream appeal anymore. Nevertheless, it's undeniable that inflection points like this are hitting with increasing regularity. Circling back to the nagging question I took away from the call, what does an AI art practice with a soul look like? Aside from predictably and pathetically wondering what Mark Fhir would have had to say about all this, I'm anxious to know how far along on the road to real craftsmanship in a given medium someone is. Until an artist has unlocked an unmistakable clarity of self-expression and an intimacy with the creative act itself, working from idea to a real or metaphorical page with monkish dedication, my pound shop Taoist advice is, be like Goldie. Prioritise the craft vigilantly and try and find your own tribe like your life depends on it. as the neural pathways that carry your own creativity are strengthened through discipline and practice. Something essential to your spirit gets fed at the same time. Remember at school when the teacher would say, if you cheat on the exam, you're only cheating yourself. They might have had a point, you know. There may come a time when only you will know if you were the creator of art or just a puppet, at which point your own integrity and sense of meaning is what's at stake. Learn to embrace failure, engage in play, and trust your own voice before letting anything else get between you and your pen. I've conveniently left aside the labour question in all of this, because it's a big one. One component of Holly and Matt's exhibition concerned how to involve humans in any AI project and practice informed consent. The moody adolescent elephant in this room is that the post-AI Goldie equivalent of today might be in a bedroom somewhere trying to make magic with a Palo Alto tech company's robot equivalent of Matt Playford, in lieu of a thriving scene. This isn't a direction of travel specific to music, but it helps to act local when faced with systemic societal problems. The first ever global study of the impact of AI on the music industry estimates that by 2028, musician income will decrease by 24%, and generative AI music will represent 20% of traditional music streaming platforms' revenues. History would suggest that no one is coming to save them. It's hard to think that fine art like The Call, with institutional support and highbrow editorial column inches, will be in the crosshairs of Gen AI. For this reason, I'm dying to know what artists with less proximity to art institutions think about all this. I have a grain of perhaps misguided faith that underground music makers on the relative margins will see their creations elevated and celebrated harder as the artificial slop begins to swill. First to be buried will be the paint-by-numbers house bops and vacuous pop landfill that proudly provide window dressing for tech bro coding sessions and yummy mummy spin classes. Is this all cope? I'll end on something Matt Dryhurst says that does resonate with me. AI, really technology, just changes what we value about art. Personally, I feel my own goalposts moving. I can no longer take for granted that the boring, moving, or batshit art I stumble across was made by a real person. Be it a random Sunday digging on Bandcamp, or maybe a painting I find in a charity shop in 50 years' time. The moments when I get a glimpse into how a person was feeling when they made something, when they are generous enough to share that, are even more precious now. Keep making cool shit for you and your mates, from the heart.